Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of What We Wish Our Wives Knew. In this one, I'm going to talk about we wish they knew we don't know how to use the words you use, and we don't know how to understand what you want from us. I mean, it sounds like the words are plain English, and our words sound like plain English to us too. But when we ask for what we want, when we say, "This is what I want," or "Can you please do this for me?" or "I'd like this," we don't, even when you do try and give us what we want, it isn't necessarily what we want. And that causes conflict in you and in us because we didn't get what we wanted and we don't know why, and neither do you. We wish that you knew how hard it is for us to tell you what we want. Some of us had this conflict since childhood, so we just stopped trying. Some of us have been told that we're not supposed to ask, so we never started. Some of us have been told to take care of ourselves, so we don't think anybody else should help us. Some of us have been told it's selfish to ask for help, and so we don't bother. We just try and do it ourselves. And if we can't do it ourselves, we just accept that it can't get done. And some of us, most of us that have been raised in one way or another, have learned as adults that we need to change that in some fashion. So if we've been raised to keep to ourselves, or to not ask for help, or to do it ourselves, we've been shown, or maybe we've been taught as adults, that we need to open up, share our emotions, ask for help, um, build a community, things like that. But we don't know how. And we try and we try. And some of us try more than others. And if we fail enough times, we stop trying again. Then if we try and reach out, or we try and open up our emotions, or we try and talk about things and it doesn't work, then we shut down again. And the common perception is that we were taught not to talk about our emotions, which is true. Many of us were taught not to talk about our emotions. Not all of us. That's not entirely true, because it's taught as all men. And that's a lie, a dead, flat out lie. Because most of us were taught to talk about our emotions. We were modeled not to, but we were taught how to. So we got conflicting messages growing up. Parents didn't talk to us about their emotions, so we didn't learn how. But they told us and taught us that we should. We just didn't know how. So when we try to do this as adults, we end up with some measure of failure, with some measure of it didn't work, with some measure of that's not what I wanted, or I didn't get what I wanted. We end up with some version of failure that stops us. When we get that much failure, we just quit. When we get that kind of failure, we just stop trying. Depending on how strongly we were taught, or how much we believed that as children that we shouldn't ask for help, depending on how much we believe that, we might only have a limited number of failures before we just quit trying again. We might only have a few times that we'll try and open up about our emotions, or we'll try and ask for what we want. And communication isn't perfect. So if we try, say 5 times, and twice we get what we want, but 3 times we don't, well, to many of us, that's evidence that it doesn't work. Because unfortunately, our brains are wired to find problems, not successes. Our brains, all people's brains, not just men, But all human beings are designed, our brains are designed to look for problems. They are chemically and physically designed for that. That's the entire reason we have reason and thought, is to look for problems. The reason that mankind, that human beings have taken over the planet is because we have a better way to understand problems, a better ability to understand problems than other species of animals. We can reason through those problems, but our brains are not designed to see um, help or good things or love or connection or positivity. Our hearts are designed for that, but not our brains. So when we see 3 failures and a success, and 2 successes, we see failure. All human beings. Now, unless we are conscious, unless we make a conscious effort to focus our brain on the things we want, which takes a lot of work for most of us, we're not going to see the successes. We as men don't see success unless there's very little failure. We as humans, that's how we all act. That's how we all work. That's how our brains work. They only see success when there's a serious lack of any failures. So what we wish you knew is that we don't know how to communicate because we were told it was wrong, or we were modeled that adults don't do that. As much as we might have been taught by those same adults that we should, they didn't model it. Or maybe they did model opening up, but they never taught us that we're supposed to. They were hoping that we would learn by example. And you add another layer to that whatever my parents were trying to teach me or model for me, I take that to school, and it didn't work anywhere near the same way at school with my peers, because they were just as bad at trying to open up as I was. So most of the experimentation that would happen with my peers, with my classmates, with my friends would be failures. So I would just close back up again. That that isn't the experience that most ladies have, although some do, plenty do, because ladies are taught a different message when they're kids, when they're children, when they're young girls. And therefore, they go to school, they go to their playground, and they have the same number of failures, and then they fall back on the teaching that that were trained, and they try and make that make sense, and we almost never can as humans. So what we wish you knew is that we're trying our damnedest to figure out how to communicate with you, and very rarely is anybody teaching us, and we can't ask for help even if we want it, because the person we want to ask is the person we don't know how to get what we want from. You. I want to ask you how to communicate, and yet I can't. If I can't even get you to do simple things that I'd like sit on me with the couch and watch a movie on the couch and watch a movie. Sit with me on the couch and watch a movie. If I can't even get you to do that, even though that's what I asked for, and it didn't come out that way, in the words that I said didn't sound like that to you. If I can't get that, how can I ask for you for help for communicating when I don't believe we can communicate with each other? So I just stop asking, because I go back to the default. Well, I'm really just kind of crappy at communicating. Or some of us guys think you're really crappy at communicating. Some of us guys don't have this conscious thought. We don't think of it out loud. We don't even know it's the problem. A lot of the times, these thoughts that we have are subconscious. They're so deep down inside, we don't even know we're having those thoughts. And that's the problem, is we don't know we're having these thoughts. We don't know we're making these judgments. We just feel the emotional consequences of them. Lonely, rejected, abandoned, forgotten, married for 25 years and still all alone. I'm providing for you, but I don't know how to get what I want from you. Never did. When we were first together, first dating or first married, whatever first together looks like, I would often get what I needed, but that was because of two reasons. A, you were giving me a lot more, just as I was giving you a lot more in those early stages. So by default, some of those things are going to be the right things. And B, two, I was uncertain of what I wanted, so anything you gave me was good. And then over time, I figured out the things that I wanted and the things that I didn't, and I didn't know how to communicate that to you. I mean, I tried. I'm sure I tried. I, as a life coach for men, can promise all of you ladies that every single man has tried to communicate with you, to talk about his emotions with you, to tell you how he feels, what he wants, and ask kindly. Every single one of us have. Most of us, most of the time, do it badly. Most of us, most of the time, don't figure we're doing it right, so we just stop trying. Because asking for what I want and getting rejected feels worse than just feeling alone in the first place. So we stop trying. And even though we know we're going to lose everything we wish for, the things we most love in life, you, the person we love most in our lives, even though we know that we're going to lose you if we don't open up, opening up means you get to reject me over and over and over and over again. And that feels worse. Because I know you're going to eventually reject me permanently, but feeling rejected every day, multiple times a day, feels worse. At least the eventual rejection is something that I can imagine might happen. And there's a glimmer of hope it might not. So we wish you knew that we're trying, we're doing our best. And even though we might be really bad at it, some of us are really, really bad at it, we still don't know how to make that better. I wish we did. We all wish we did. We just don't know how to get better, and we can't ask you. I hope this was helpful. I hope there's something you can get out of this. And if there was, please leave a like and let me know, and leave a comment as well. I'd like to make more videos that are helpful for you guys. All right, I'll talk to you next time.